Yes, we are back, I guess.
I'm back.
Yes. Internet went boom boom. Boom boom boom. The internet went boom. Not only in my room, but in all houses together. Ay. Just that we were talking about the internet. It's just,
Yeah, I guess your provider hit that one.
yeah, my provider was like, what?
But
Yeah,
if we show
so
it.
the chat widget went, well. What I think Ich hab Hunger didn't read the answer, right? So
Yeah.
it's to avoid attacks on a server. If we store schematics on the server side, you can just create a script that overloads the server. And you can just like fill up the storage of any server, which is obviously not a good idea. So schematics are only cached on the server side. So the only thing you can do is like empty the cache and fill up the cache with those, but that is relatively little.
Limited. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta kill the overlay then. Streamlabs disconnected. So we store it on the client side for exactly that reason. Hey, I'm a security researcher. I have to think when I do things. Yes. Well, the client issues the scan. So you could just issue scan X2C 0 to 1,000,000 200 times on a client. Similarly, we have a lot of verifications in all our server-side messages. Does this person belong to the colony and all these kinds of things? I guess in some places, if you belong to a colony, you could kind of do some things like execute a script that adds more infinite players to a colony or something like that. But yeah, that's much harder. It takes much longer to, well, it's just a few strings, right? Than scanning huge areas of land. That's like a script that you run very quickly. Like we said already, so we have the plan to have a schematic server properly where people can upload their stuff, and then everyone can then download it from different servers and use it on the server as well, and these kinds of things. And then we would have things as well similar with our Patreon API integration, so that, well, Patreons can upload as much as they want to that server, because, well, we trust you. Other people have rate limits per Minecraft account. To again avoid denial of service attacks, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And as we are living in a time of script kiddies, better safe than sorry.
Yeah, some of these script kiddies are deleting our supposedly unused textures, and suddenly some entities have no head or so.
Yes, I heard that happening.
It wasn't just once.
Well, we can have like extremely high limits for Patreons, right? Just 10,000 per Patreon per Minecraft account. That makes it relatively hard to try to do anything malicious.
Yeah, that's usually how you design the systems as well, right? You don't have like an unlimited option and a limited from X to Y. Instead, you just give some people which are supposedly unlimited a higher limit.
But the thing is, when you sign up on Patreon, people give us their, let's say, details, right? Data. So if they try to hack us and do stupid shit, well, we know who they are, right? Oh, I removed the stream overlay.
Lose more if we then remove them.
So that is more complicated. So if they do a malicious attack against us, we can just go to the police and say, well, they tried to attack us, did malicious code or something like that. Which is, if some random Minecraft player, they could have hacked the account or something like that. So that's a different thing. That's usually why paid, you can't trust people that just signed up with an email, but you can trust people that signed up with credit card details, basically, right?
Yeah. Pretty much, if you are paying for it, you got more to lose, and then you're much more likely to not do stupid stuff.
Like what he probably meant was like, well, someone could just pay $5 and then blow up our server, but usually like script kiddies, that's also too much for most script kiddies to spend $5 on that. I saw some areas that seemed slightly flooded. But no, I haven't seen the big flooded area yet, that's true. So I would describe, so Patreon's very unlikely, and even if they did an attack, we could find out who it was. It's just like this.
It's kind of like moderating a public server and moderating the Patreon server.
Yeah, exactly.
Public servers need a lot of attention, a lot of moderation. Patreon servers pretty much not.
Like, we're running the Patreon server for ages now, and many different servers, and we didn't have not even one case of intentional grieving. So I would call that pretty safe.
Meanwhile, on public servers,
wow, our history with spawn grieving on our public servers is just,
yeah.
That's like once a week. Not even thinking about the people building swastikas in the middle of the things, phallus symbols in the middle of the colonies, and all these kinds of things.
Yeah.
You're less likely to do that if you have your payment information connected to this. Yeah, some people seem to think it's funny. So...
But yeah, that's why we don't do public servers. It's just not worth it.
No, it's definitely not worth the effort. And...
it takes so much time. So many stupid people you have to deal with. For what reason?
I think it had a merit to kickstart our community.
Yeah, that might.
I think for that it had a merit, because a lot of our current Patreons started out on these servers.
But nowadays we got a community, right?
But nowadays we have a community, and most people, and a lot of people is like, okay, do you have servers? Yes, Patreon servers. Okay, I'll sign up or not. And on top of that, yeah, John is one of these people that started on our public servers. And then we have the second group that those are the people that come through the streams, right? That are watching our streams and like, oh, nice, they have a public server, a Patreon server, I want to join in on the fun.
Yeah. Although they like would need to see that we are streaming first, so we would need to ping them. So say,
oh, a lot of people came from that though. I would say around a third of our people playing on the servers came from the streams.
Yeah, we got quite a few of our streams. Of course, we pinged them.
Because we pinged them.
Now our streams are super hidden. Got an extra Steam channel far down the list. No one gets pinged really unless he opts in. Yeah, well.
Oh, they get pinged once a week on updates on the streams as well. I do that on purpose. I don't want to ping people too much because it bothers me as well. There's some servers that I'm like, okay, I'm here, I contribute a lot, so I stay around, but it still bothers me pinging, regular pinging. But once a week is okay. And so it's our update log, a bunch of people read it. Cats making party. Our big cat did a party today, jumping out of the window to the wall 3 meters in distance. And then having me climb up the wall trying to get him. Because he didn't know how to get down anymore. You know, the cat thing.
Yeah, I got that here. How do I get down? So you climbed up to it?
You'd probably sign up if you had a credit card. You should get one of these German credit debit cards. Those are amazing. They're like having a credit card without having a credit card.
Yeah, on some stuff you don't need a credit card.
So there's a lot of things you need a credit card for. Like a lot of places that only accept credit cards, etc. And the credit debit card is like the perfect mix. Austrian, they have them in Austria as well. I know they have them all over Europe, and I also do know that they have them in Australia. And I didn't mean Austria, Australia, but I mean Australia, I know they have it, and all over Europe they have them for sure. And if Germany has it, all DACH country have it for sure.
Yeah.
That's just like... But those are like super useful.
Don't think I've ever used anything which needed a debit card. I don't have one either.
A debit?
Credit, I mean, not debit.
Yeah, I have a debit credit card, and it's like, it's my life insurance. When this one fails, I'm like, well, how am I going to get food now?
Well, stealing.
Stealing, well.
Obviously.
No, I'm not mistaking.
To not get food.
I was saying that on purpose. I'm not mistaking Austria and Australia. I said I know that Austria has it because it's within Europe, and I know all European countries have it, and I know that outside of Europe, Australia has it for sure as well, because Shindria told me that. I wasn't mistaking Austria with Australia. I know one of them has kangaroos, and the other one has almdudler. Yeah. Who came up with calling Austria? That's too close to Australia. Totally agree with.
Yeah, I agreed as well. When I first learned English, I was always like, Australia? Oh.
I was like, come on, you could have come with something better.
It's also like quite far from the original name, right?
Yes.
Österreich and Austria.
I guess I get that it's like all the German difficult things in one word.
Yeah, true.
You have the Öster, the umlaut, which most people can't pronounce. You have the sound, Österreich, which is super hard for a lot of cultures. Plus you have a super hard R, right? Österreich.
Yeah.
So that's like super hard to pronounce for... Austria is the Latin name. So where came Australia from? Now I know that it's on Wiki, but where did Australia come from then? Yeah, the only thing missing is the umlaut U, definitely. No, I know that Britons called it Australia, but why did they call it Australia? Hi, Odd. Might? It's because it's in the south. Might? Maybe they were like... British people were like, well, we're in a place, we don't understand the word what people are saying, so it must be Austria. And then they found out later it was not Austria. Terra Australis, southern land. Darn it, country names, giving close names. I figured out these days that there are a lot of countries that call Germans Swavians, actually. Even.
Oh lord.
Because a lot of immigrants they had during a time of history were from Swavia. And in the end then that stuck to it. So they're like, where are you from? Swavia, right? And then that stuck to all people that speak that language, more or less.
Yeah.
You texted me? I'm going to check it out. Chin, chin, chin. Here we go. I'm getting a bunch of diorite. That's always good to have. I'm getting cobblestone on the way too, but not a whole lot.
Hey, sleeping time.
Nap time? Technically speaking, I'm a miner, so it shouldn't count, but I will sleep anyway. Because I'm nice.
I think you do count. There's no minor thing.
Isn't there?
Nope.
I thought there was.
Might have been somewhere, sometime.
It's a gun. Let me put that here. Get rid of those, and those. Done. Yeah, but those credit debit cards, obviously it's super extremely useful for me because I'm not in Germany. So outside of Germany, credit cards are the best way to pay things. There's a huge difference in those. Like one of them I have, they charge me 1%. Like per purchase of the and when I get it at the bank, just money directly, they even have sometimes 10 or even 15 euros a flat fee, which is quite expensive. The advantage is that they basically calculate the transfer rate on the stock exchange rate, so you get much better rate than if you try to exchange the money in a store or something like that.
Yeah.
So that is a huge plus. The other card that I use, they charge nothing. No 1% fee, and no flat fee for getting the money. So that's quite nice. So I use the other one always, and the one that charges only in emergencies. Germany is also in general very paper money heavy, I would say.
Yeah.
There are a lot of
People
people.
don't really like e-money here.
People don't really like electronic money. I kind of get the sentiment. I used to be a little bit like that. I find it, the main argument I have, it is you have more control over it. As in, you know how much you're spending.
You have some money then instead of someone else.
In terms of like someone else having it, a bank having it, I don't think it makes any difference. But it's like
the bank could die and then it's gone.
Well, technically, but
well, you don't know. Maybe they invested into some drug cartel and got busted.
Yeah, that's why you get a big enough. That's why you get it at a big enough bank that's too big to fail, and then you're fine.
Yeah, like the big bank who got caught washing drug money.
Oh no, but they're just always failed out, right? We know that.
Yeah, exactly. Still is in business, life.
Still in business, life and fine, just perfectly fine. Come on, they can fund the Taliban, and all the government is going to be no.
Yeah.
To forget this, I need a good job in 10 years after my.
Yeah.
Just get the hand slapped. Yes, that's it. But
promise you won't do it again.
But
okay.
The debit credit card gives me pretty much debt control as well. So basically, what I used to do a lot is, so I just put every month, just transferred money to the credit debit card instead of just getting the cash, right? So I could spend the money and had control over it and not like spend more than I wanted to. I think I would call Tinker's a pretty balanced mod, yes.
Yeah, Tinker's is relatively. It's balanced and powerful.
Yeah. And
like I'd say it's like twice as strong as vanilla stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely. And the main reason I'm kind of against cash nowadays, it's after I figured out the amount of energy that has to go into it, basically. It's like environmentally not very friendly, and that's not even talking about the production, but every time you deposit money at the bank, the money has to go basically to the central bank, is then controlled and whatever's, and then is only distributed again. There's like a huge energy expenditure to maintain the cash system. And if
that's
you don't,
why we like Bitcoin right there, because that's always.
Yeah, Bitcoin is in the opposite extreme.
Electronic, but still kind of do the same.
Yeah.
Huge energy expenditure.
Huge. It's like size of a country energy expenditure.
Yeah, of a big country, not small.
No, of an industrialized country. Industrialized country, yes. It was like Denmark levels or something like this, last I had checked.
Yeah.
Iceland? No, it was Iceland a few years ago, but it's more nowadays.
It went a lot up, yeah.
It increased in the last time it went up again.
There must be somewhere where all the GPUs are going, right? And why we have to pay like triple the prices.
Yeah, the big mining companies are expanding heavily still.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, most of it is to make it hard to don't have counterfeit money. I completely agree with the necessity of the complex process. I don't think it is. That's why I think having digital money is better. And that's why I think that's where blockchain is the solution to the problem. Just not the blockchains we are currently using. So for example, if whatever, the EU or the US, they created their own e-euro with a blockchain that is secured by servers over all European countries. So your wallet, so like your money is secured, it's there, and you can spend it with a credit or debit card by sending, like what I was saying, what I'm doing, you put every month the money you want to spend on a card, and then you can use it. So only that quantity is could basically be gone if something happens, but your savings are always safe. I think that is definitely something worth exploring. So you can't just lose your entire savings, unless obviously there's hyperinflation or something like that. The concept of blockchain is awesome, but so is the concept of communism. Both things break when trying to actually do it. I agree with the comparison. I disagree with the result, because there's a lot of blockchain projects that work great. There's like at the moment a growing number of banks using blockchain projects for cross-border payments that used to take hours and manual labor to transfer money from one bank to another, and now takes in a matter of seconds over a blockchain. And that the thing is, like, a lot of use cases are still in research, so we don't see it yet in the refined resulting form, basically. And the second thing is that a lot of the actually useful projects are not the one you hear about. Most things we hear about are the bullshit projects. Or projects like Bitcoin that are just super wasteful. So, yeah, it's time to go full. Similarly is communism. It's one of the things that is heavily discussed. For example, during the times of the Soviet Republic, the thing that basically failed them as well was they were not able to centrally manage all of that, simply because they didn't have computers, right? With the infrastructure we have nowadays, and that you can see at the companies that are as enormous as Walmart, it is perfectly possible to manage such a big thing in a nice way. And you don't even, and then if you combine it with blockchain, you can manage these things even in a decentral way. The problem that I see of communism is maybe more a better analogy, and that is democracy. The same problem, like if you have a democratic communist country, for example, and the problem is that unless you have a stable political system, the people in power will try to benefit from it. And that we have in the current capitalist system, and that you have in any system where your political system is not well thought through, let's say it like that. Like most things you see, most problems you see in the US are because of badly thought through things. Most political problems I see in Brazil are because of badly thought through things, and many of the problems Germany has are because of badly thought through system decisions, right? And oh, flower pots. So what we need is, oh, can I teach the stone mason to make flower pots? Let me check that out. So what we need is the one thing we need is better democratic systems. And if you then have a communist thing behind it, where you have a thing that everyone gets more or less the same, or you have a market economy on top of it, doesn't really matter a lot. So the thing is, Germany could take down both coal plants and nuclear plants if they weren't so stupid. That's the problem. The thing is that the nuclear lobby
could have done it a lot earlier as well.
The problem is that I would say the nuclear lobby is less powerful than the fossil fuel lobby in Germany. Yeah. That is the big thing. That's why nuclear was taken down and coal not yet. Because as the fossil fuel lobby is more powerful than the nuclear lobby. On the contrary, in France, the nuclear lobby, or in Japan, the nuclear lobbies are super powerful, and you won't be able to take those down. But it's basically the German government is sitting on the brakes of renewable energy, and that is in all regards. That is in the regards of wind energy, of making stupid rules of like, well, a nuclear power plant can be closer to a city than a wind turbine. Think about that. A nuclear power plant can be closer to a city than a wind turbine. Does this make any sense? No sense at all. It's just to break out just to break it out, to not phase out fossil fuels too quickly. That's all it is. Yeah. And people saying, "Oh well, but it doesn't. The sun doesn't shine enough." You don't need so much sun. It's because it's so cheap renewable energy. If you actually look at the prices it would cost. Most of the money that actually paid in Germany as well of this renewable energy difference thingy there is actually paid. Actually, a lot of that goes stupidly to stuff that you actually don't need because it's actually much cheaper to produce. Even the nuclear power plants in Germany were super expensive. They were not worth it having anymore. Yeah, definitely. Nuclear should have been taken down after coal. I agree on that, but nuclear is always, all the nuclear power plants we don't have storage solutions. We don't. So it's a similar problematic thing. And it's just, well, maybe not as urgent to solve, maybe, as climate change, but that is debatable as well. But the problem is just being so slow and basically being a huge break on all renewable technology just for the sake of it. Yeah, power transfer and storage are not perfect yet, but there's a lot of solutions as well, if they want it. That's the entire thing. If they want it. It's not like that is a large distance. Is there any large distances in Germany?
Well, and even for large distances, there are solutions, right? You can, for example, make, what is it in English? What? Wasserstoff?
Hydrogen.
You know, yeah. Can make just hydrogen out of the power, which does lose some power, of course, but it's a lot easier to transport, right? You put it into some tanker ship and send it wherever.
And the big advantage is as well, you can just produce hydrogen at night when the demand is lower, but you still have wind and these kinds of things, right? You like the solution of blasting nuclear waste out of into space. The thing is, that's like one of thing a lot of people say, but we usually don't really think about it. It's like the chance of a rocket to fail and to explode is 1 in 100, more or less, as far as I know at the moment. So a 1 in 100 thing of spreading nuclear waste all out, all over one hemisphere is not a great idea.
Which might pollute the whole stuff for several years.
Which might just pollute an enormous area for just... It's not...
decades.
It's not a good idea for quite some time yet. It's because like rockets are just
way too unsafe.
The thing we still have, our rockets we still have, they're much better and more advanced than the rockets we used to have. But it's still the same concept. It's basically we're exploding something to get thrust, right?
Yeah.
You found that most of the nuclear waste from uranium reactors can be burned in thorium reactors. But those are still like far from being production ready. And it's even not most. It's, as far as I know, isn't it just... It isn't such a huge percentage. Yeah, I need Rex to finish that here. But those are also far from production ready. Like there's so many things, and it's fusion reactors and all these kinds of things. It's like being researched and being on the verge of a breakthrough for a long period of time. So... I wouldn't say that. Yeah, fusion is 20 years ago, most of your lifetime. Exactly that. I wouldn't say it's because of the bomb thing, because like there are a lot of countries, like for example, Brazil wanted to... They started their own nuclear program basically to, well, build their own nuclear reactors. And the US came and said, nope. Nope. You can't. And they didn't end up going, well, we can do thorium either. Which, like, okay, you can't make bombs with thorium, so it just we make thorium. They're still also not there yet. Meanwhile, actually, solar panels, wind energy turbines, and all these kinds of things. Just the yield is improving by a lot. Like they found out, they created solar panels that produce decent quantities of energy in the dark even, and all these kinds of things. From moon reflection, basically. No, it's like with production ready, I meant not that you can't build one and have it, but that they're economically compete with any of the other solutions. Like there's a lot of things we can use to generate energy, but they're just not really worth it yet. I would probably put tide reactors into that category as well. And General C, although there's a lot less research into that as well, I believe. I was heavily surprised how bad the Netherlands were on renewable energy, actually. I looked these days and they were on 80% fossils, which I found insane.
I could so easily use wind.
And they have like a enormous ton of wind.
Yeah. Since they are pretty much all at sea level or even below.
And they have like a huge coastal line as well, where they could place it in the sea. I know that they have some major wind parks as well, but not even close to what they should have Austria is getting 30% from water, 30 from wind, 30 from cold, and 10 other renewables. That's not so bad. It's actually better than Germany. Brazil is actually pretty good. I think Brazil is on 80% renewables. And the rest is gas and nuclear. I'm not, it's more or less that. Could be more renewables as well. It's mostly from, well, water. They have a lot of rivers, and they constructed a lot of water. How are they called? I forgot the name always. It's old fart syndrome, yes. But it's not, I wouldn't call it only old fart syndrome. It's obviously also old fart syndrome. No, not tidal. It's not tidal. It's river.
Yeah, it's like building dams.
It's with dams. It's mostly old fart money that is stuck in the old stuff. Hydroelectric. Thanks, John. Yes, Brazil runs predominantly on hydroelectric. They have an enormous ton of rivers, right? And luckily, the previous governments invested a shit ton in hydro, so the energy is mostly renewable.
Yeah, but the poor fishies have to die. That's not nice.
The bigger problem is that in some cases native populations had to be moved because of some of them, and on the short term in terms of CO2 they create quite a bit of CO2 as well, because the plants that rot under the flooded area release methane and CO2.
Yeah, thank God.
India has 55% coal, 7 natural gas, 1 diesel, 12 hydro, and 24 other renewables. Yeah, India and China are pretty reliant on coal, too. And I have to say, and no one is allowed to complain, because who is selling the coal reactors to them is Siemens. Who is selling the gas reactors to them is Siemens.
Yeah, well, people don't want some here, so we sell them to China, right?
You're from the Netherlands. We have 1 nuclear reactor, far too many coal reactors indeed. A bunch of windmills that I know, and a lot of them being built, but yeah, and some solar field. Hydroelectric you can't do in the Netherlands. You have a lot of potential for tidal, but they're still quite far away from being worth it in comparison to the other technologies, as far as I know.
We could do hydroelectrics with the Netherlands and use whole Netherlands for it, and just have everyone move away, and then we can do it for.
No, but it's then only tidal,
Europe.
because then it's sea level, everything. It doesn't flow down anywhere, right? You don't have mountains to where it flows down.
We just need some big cave below, so.
Yeah, China is moving much faster recently. They're also starting to ban a lot of the Bitcoin mining and trying to get rid of a lot of their coal plants. Because, well, they did a study and noticed that they are one of the countries that would suffer the most from climate change. So they're trying to move.
Yeah.
And, well, they don't have actual capital interests in coal on the levels that the companies here have, and the amount they lobby for it. What happened with my hammer? Sledgehammer. Just dropped it. You live 5 meters below sea level in the Netherlands. Yeah.
It's not good. I just need some little flooding and water is suddenly high.
Nah, it's not being phased out because the mine use were referred as bribes. It's because the people in China are actually starting to not believe anymore in the Chinese companies. So instead of buying stocks, they're buying a shit ton of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and these kinds of things, which hurts the Chinese economy because it's built heavily on local investment. So the people that work a shit ton also invest their money in local companies. So that's why the government is tracking down. Because, like I said many times already, Bitcoin is very stupid for money laundering. Very, very stupid. It's like everyone. You don't even need to be the police to track it. And all the ways to get dollar in and out are also centralized again. New Zealand is using 60% fossils. It's quite disappointing, yeah. But as far as I know, their progressive government is relatively new. Like, their current government is like super progressive, but they're just reigning since 2018 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I had looked it up recently. They had like also like a 16-year or 12-year long period of conservative politicians standing on the brakes, like in Australia right now, with the Morris guy that is standing on the brakes as well. Where even Australia is one of the countries that says, nope, we're doing enough for climate change already. We're doing enough, it's enough.
Yeah, we don't need to do more.
And there's like, you're doing enough. You know that you're the country with the biggest per capita pollution, and you're doing enough.
Well, we paid some scientists to say that, and they said it, and now we're doing enough.
Washington State is using 82%. Yeah, Washington State is quite progressive, right? 16 compost, let's do that. Unlock the plantation. If we can release the music data pack separately, I guess we can do that.
Yeah, good. Just some effort I didn't do yet.
Yeah, we can do that. Warehouse is here. Austria is 75 hydro. That's quite nice. Yeah, Austria is one of these places where you have a lot of mountains with water, so hydro is relatively easy to achieve. Also not so heavy industry that would consume a shit ton. Compost. Yes. We have 137 compost.
Yeah, compost we got a lot. We have a ton of seeds as well. Been thinking of making a second composter.
Oh, we have to upgrade our composter is only level 2.
Yeah.
And it was renewable only. 55% renewables overall. What is Germany on renewables at the moment? Is it 30 something? I think it was 30 something. But I'm not... Sam's name on Discord is Tarina, if I'm not mistaken. Or some add-ons. How are you doing?
Usually some medals.
Usually some balance. Okay, here's still upgrading here. I'm also going to issue a level 3 upgrade here.
It's 40%.
It's 40% in Germany at the moment.
Yeah,
42
so, something.
42 something, yeah. It's not so bad. Like it went up quite decently like 6 years ago, and then like 4 years ago it kinda everyone was like started standing on the brakes, because we could have phased out coal quickly if we had continued like that. Well, whoever is going to be in the next government is definitely going to do it better than the current government, because it's also very difficult to do it worse than the current government.
So, yeah.
So yes,
Worst case is kinda it continues like this.
Yeah, worst case, which I don't believe in. It's, I think, very likely that the Greens will participate in some form of government. If they're unlucky, they will participate with the Conservatives together, which will kill their party, as it would.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be so bad. It could give birth to to a new party. But, well, we all know it's hard sometimes, but maybe. My favorite would be a green, red, yellow.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Under the leadership of red, that would be. Because under the leadership, not because I trust red more, I distrust red the most of all, but that's the most likely for the yellows to accept. Yes, exactly. That's what your conservatives are currently trying to do in Austria. I know. They have a conservative green coalition. Exactly, that's what would happen here as well. It's just not a good idea, this coalition. It just won't work. Because the conservatives will be... Yellow is FTP, yes. It's the people that believe in unicorns. The people that still think that the market will solve it. The free market will solve it. And if we repeat it often enough, maybe it will. It won't. But I think they have a lot of nice ideas. In general, I think they could fit in a lot of liberal ideas. That is, making weed, legalizing weed. Like under that government, weed will definitely be legalized, because basically everyone but the conservatives agrees on it. There's already a majority for that, actually, even. Just no one wants to break the coalition. But I would most likely weed would be legalized. There would be a much better laws for LGBTQ people as well under the red, green, yellow, because all of them agree on that as well. Everyone agrees on digitalization, and I think yellow has the most, well, most lobby interests in that as well, but I think it's most likely to result in a decent improvement. The main problem is that yellow is really against increasing taxes for rich people, while red and green want to increase the tax rate for people that are making more than, what is it, 200,000 per year or something like this. No, it was even 3% extra for everyone that makes 2 million. It's just even like, come on, ridiculous to even have to debate about that.
Yeah.
me take some of those here in the warehouse. But that would be the optimal, in my opinion. Worst case would be really something involving the Conservatives. That would be absolutely worst case.
Which is likely what we get.
Which is the most likely to happen. Even though they're just like... They're just fucking up everything they can.
Yeah. Like,
They're just literally fucking up everything they can. Involving the AFD, or that would be the worst of the worst, but that is impossible. No one will colligate with them at this point. We're not Austria.
Conservatives would, like, they behave kind of similar even.
Yeah, but most of the Conservatives...
Hey, they got like CSU as well, and those are totally right.
Yeah. But most Conservatives are still... We're still far enough away from that dystopia. Hey, I know that in Austria the Conservatives really did a coalition with the, well, Austrian AFD.
Yeah, see. I mean, even the stuff there, a lot of the Conservatives are saying is already on right-wing stuff. So.
Yeah, it's the only thing is that if they did, it's because there are a lot of old people that vote for CDU.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, well, you know, they're not just. It's better than the others, you know. But if they would make a coalition with the AFD, I think a lot of people would jump ship.
Yeah, could be.
Like the more progressive corner of the party would probably switch to the Reds. I can't call them Social Democrats. It just closes my throat if I try to call them that, because they are not Social Democrats. They are definitely not Social Democrats. The so-called Social Democrats might be a word you could call them. Yeah, in the Netherlands it's even more complicated because you have a lot more parties, right? We have one Green Party. Like one Green Party that's worth mentioning. There are some Green parties that are like at 1% or something like that. They're even less than 1%, so they're not really worth mentioning. But we have one big Green Party that is at what, around 17-18% at the moment. Then we have the super conservatives at 11, the liberals at 11, the Reds, the party that used to be Social Democrats, at 20, and then the Conservatives at around 26, 27. Oh, did you see the interview? Did you hear about the interview with the leader of the Conservatives?
No.
That one was just. That result was just perfect. That was just perfect, the answer. So they asked him like about things the party wants to do, right?
Oh, as if you would know that, right? So
the first thing he was like, oh yeah, it's like digitalization and these kinds of things. Okay. Second thing.
Oh, how do you write an email?
And then the second thing is like, for climate change. So we want to make the government more efficient so that the companies can innovate better. So like, no real thing. And then the third, and then the reporter asked a third thing. And then he was like, oh, good question. I was like, you really don't have any content, right? You really don't have any content. Yes, your conservatives are much more populist than ours.
They just get votes, that's all they get.
That was just like, and he should have just said like, and the rest is okay, isn't it? We can keep it as it is. Because that's what they actually believe in. yeah, the FDP in Germany is like super, is like US Democrats is probably the best description of them. It's, and that, I mean like the Biden part of the US Democrat, not the AOC part of the US Democrats. That's FDP basically. Very progressive in terms of weed, very progressive in terms of all these things like, well, abortion, LGBTQ rights, trans rights, all these kinds of things. But you can't, it's like reduce taxes, reduce government, reduce things. I love Sanders. Yeah. Oh, they have again a federal election next month in Canada. It seemed like they had that last year and Trudeau won. Yeah, that would be good. Although I'm not, it's like Trudeau is like, what would I say? It's like better than anything else we're currently having, but very disappointing still. It's like there's also been a bunch of corruption scandals involving him, right? And like him making an oil pipeline through an indigenous protected area, completely ignoring their rights on the land and these kinds of things.
When it happens, right?
Ah, they're trying to push for a new election to get out on top again. But anyone? Yes. No, it's the Tories trying to get that. It's the Adventure and Dungeon mod pack, actually. Let me link you that. I'll have a link for that. No, I know that the pipeline was started, but he committed on it. Heavily committed on it. Oh, one thing I left was in Australia they used to have a CO2 tax that worked very well. And when the Prime Minister came to power of the Conservatives, he scrapped it. He even said that he even said it was very effective, but he said he had promised to scrap it, so that's why he's scrapping it. That's like, even most parts of the industry found it fine, but well.
Not surprising. Yeah, well.
Politics. I did a bunch of read up these days on certificate trading, because I was like, there must be something I'm not seeing with why certificate trading is better than CO2 taxes. But all I can find is literally the same argument over and over again. And that is, yeah, if we globally create certificate trading and do it in a fair distributed way, it's the only way to have actually a max cap on it and reduce it to zero eventually. And even in the Super Pro articles, that's basically the only argument they have. But it's like, it's so surreal. It's like there will always be like 5 countries, let it be, that are going to not give a shit, and where the dirty industry is going to be. Yeah. Meanwhile, if you, and that's why I don't get it, why FTP wants the CO2 emission certificate trading instead. So the only thing I could imagine is them.
They can trade it. That's economy, right?
The only thing I could imagine them is they want them to be low enough so that the companies can get a surplus out of it from trading it.
See?
Because overally it's worse for the local industry. Because basically it puts them in a disadvantage in comparison to a country that doesn't have certificate trading. Well, if you have a CO2 tax, you can do it on a product per product basis and just reduce then the normal tax. Like we have currently 19% normal tax, so you scrap the 19, or you just go down to 9% normal tax and put a CO2 tax on top of it. That goes up to the 10%. That costs up to these 10%, right? This way it is neutral for everyone, so people that consume are not so well. You can consume something. The things that are not horrible will cost the same. Things that are horrible will be more expensive, and things that are great will be cheaper. And especially locally produced things are going to be cheaper. So everyone would win. But I don't get why they don't see that. I really would want to discuss with someone about that topic that is like super pro certificate trading. I tried to discuss with some people on YouTube, but they just stopped answering after I brought out all my arguments. So I guess they didn't have anything good to say against my points either. Dum dum dum. Yeah, it's like my voter base. What I find actually the funniest is how much votes are circulating or like going back and forth. I wonder if that is mostly lack of voter participation, or if there are actually people that are like, should I vote conservative or should I vote green? I really want to know if like the effects of the differences are actually of people like, no, I'd rather not vote than vote for any of those. Or if
maybe
it's
people don't get the difference. And
but
then they watch media and then they see the green guy being presented often and then they vote green.
It's like people seem to just completely forget about these things. It's like I've looked at the statistics in Australia, and it's like wildfire is a big topic. Conservatives lose. Well, climate's because of climate change, right? And like a few months later, it's like, well, I forgot that the entire country was on fire. Yeah, I know. The Netherlands have a huge thing of giving big companies tax breaks. That's the Netherlands and Ireland are probably the biggest countries in Europe in that regard. There's like Malta as well, but Malta and Cyprus, but let's say of like big countries, the Netherlands and Ireland are the country that has the most things.
I will do that as well. And give them zero taxes on the basis that they are like setting up all the stuff in my country, and then a few years later I'm going at 50% taxes, and well,
the problem is that they actually that's actually the worst part of it, because quite often they have like they have like an empty office, that's all, right?
yeah, but I would like require a lot more investment.
Yeah, just gotta
Gotta
create 1,000 jobs.
leave, right? So they have to say, and then suddenly, well, now you have to pay taxes.
That would work as well.
Yeah. It's kind of scamming the big ones to your own benefit.
Yeah, I did watch a bunch of movies, a bunch of videos in regards to the government in the Netherlands. They have a similar, have similar problem as we used to have with Merkel. It's because this Rutte guy is like super popular in your country in general, so that a lot of people vote for him as a person in general. and not for, well, the party as a party, which in that regard causes these issues, right? That a lot of people are voting conservative even though they're just like a fan of the guy and how the guy is handling things, and he's definitely better than Wilders. But it's probably also because of a lack of identifiable personalities in the opposition. Like, it's the same in Germany, right? The thing is that now that Merkel is gone, no one has identifiable people in there anymore. Neither the opposition nor the government. So that's at least a fair point then. Although I totally get it as well, that this is like one of the great weaknesses of the left. It's because we don't like those authoritarian leadership personalities, while the right totally loves them. So we are obviously not going to have those charismatic leaders, authoritarian charismatic leaders. At the moment, the most identifiable is probably Scholz. I have to say that probably Habeck, like in hindsight, we can say it. Habeck would have been the better choice, but that wasn't clear before that. It wasn't clear that she would. Baerbock would mess up things so badly and so little. Like it's super little things that shouldn't even be discussed because it's just too ridiculously little. But it's so many stupid little errors that you're kind of like, well, all of that was like super avoidable. Politics are super complex. It's the reason why I started getting interested in history, because you have to understand a lot about history to understand geopolitics to a certain degree. It's, for example, so why is, for example, Paraguay such a messed up country here in South America? Why is it so behind most of the other South American countries? And then actually they used to be in front of all the South American countries, and then they wanted to have some land to have so they did a lot of trading of wine and all these kinds of things all over the world. So they wanted to have sea access, and they wanted to take it. Just, I don't know this story exactly, but the result of it is that the Brazilian, and so I think also under some Argentinian together. Was it Argentinian together? Yeah, Brazil and Argentina, where they wanted to take some of that land off, basically invaded Paraguay and killed everyone. And especially all the people, the smart people, and all these kinds of things, and basically destroyed the country entirely. And they even had, basically they had to hire mercenaries because no one in the actual country wanted to do it, actually, which also probably is why it was also extra brutal, because like mercenaries are just more brutal than if you had just a regular horrible war. Yeah, it could have been a little bit less genocidic. But basically it's like a lot of the things have historical origins and are historically grown. I think we're ready here. I'm going to be starting having dinner soon. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. If you enjoyed today's video, today's stream, consider hitting the like and follow button. That helps the channel, and what helps the channel helps the mod. If you want to further support our mod, consider signing up on Patreon. We highly appreciate all the support we can get. All the money gets brother and sisterly distributed among the team members, and helps us to keep up what we're doing basically. Yes. Let's see if there's anyone we can raid right now. Are they playing modded? Let's see if anyone is playing modded here.
No one plays.
And there's not a lot of people playing modded, that's true. Going here, Valhelsia. They're playing Valhelsia. Did we already? I kind of feel like we already raided them once. Not entirely sure. I don't think so.
Guess what I found? Could be ancient ruins.
So what they're doing here? Yeah, let's raid those here. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Let's hop on this raid. Good night everyone. Tell the people to play Minecolonies. Until tomorrow with more building of the Lost City style. Night night everyone.
Night night.
3, 2, 1, go.
Very good. Okay. Happy birthday.